Instagram is live. Facebook is live. Danny Coyman, how you doing, brother? Perpetual Wanderer, Miss Lena, how are you doing tonight? 34, Jelliston 01. What's up? Oh, just gonna hang out and talk a little elk hunting with y'all. So, how you doing, 34? Benzilla 480, Mike Boyd from Facebook. Good evening, Jay Tapadin. Hello. Jelliston, love the shirt. Yeah, Initial Ascent. I just got it in. Had to rock it. So, outdoor hunting. Jack Heathley, how you doing? Outdoor hunting addiction. Bob Morgan, good evening. So yeah, I figured we'll see how you guys do with this tonight. Wearing the initial ascent shirt, Blacks Creek hat. I mean, share the love, right? Why do we have to be just locked into one company? Ryan Stradling, Arizona, welcome. Mr. Larry Bennett from YouTube, welcome, welcome. Kelly Clayton, good evening, buddy. So, how is everybody doing this Wednesday? Um, so tonight we're going to kind of hit a couple of subjects. I know I had posted on a couple of, Instagram and Facebook, what did you guys want to talk tonight? So we're going to kind of hit up a couple of the suggestions that we got from Instagram tonight. So, Drake Dog, welcome. Caleb Newton, hello. I am doing well. How are you, bud? Victor Sanchez from Facebook, hello. Tanner Harris from Montana, welcome, welcome. Michael Hamilton, I made it. Ron Thomas saying hello, hi to Larry. Blind brand loyalty is ridiculous anyway. Rock what works for you, even if it's a mix. Mike Strong, hallelujah, amen. I agree with that wholeheartedly. So, bugle me this. Ron Thomas, hello. Neil, Sean Keller, hello, hello, hello. Sean, looking forward to Saturday night over at your place. So, Juan Pedro Olvera. John Nemo 31, Cold River Rustics. All right, we're getting a bunch of people jumping in. So Jim Davidson, good evening. So we're gonna kind of go with those couple of topics tonight. We'll kind of jump on those. We'll give it another minute or two for some people to jump in, and then we will get going. Did add another seminar to the schedule Friday, August 9th. At Archery Central in Caldwell, Idaho. We'll be doing a seminar there. So that's going to be the one and only that I'm doing in the Boise Valley area. So those of you up in northern Idaho, eastern Washington, western Montana, there are still 30 seats available for that seminar up there. So tickets do need to be purchased in advance. You can go to the Elk Calling Academy Facebook page, go to the event tab. You'll see the North Idaho seminar there, and you can click on the tab and get tickets. So there's only limited number of spots, so make sure you get those ahead of time. So Matthew Flowers, I am doing well. How are you, my friend? Steve Nelson, hello. Jason Albee, hello from Oregon. Mr. Jake Simmons, hey sir, had the chance to listen to an elk bark a few times last night. Pretty cool sound. Lena, the Idaho or Northern Idaho is June 22nd. It is a Saturday. The reason this one with limited seats is it's going to be a little different. The one in Northern Idaho is actually a 4-hour class covering everything in person, reed placement, getting started, going through, a lot of the sounds. So it's not just your typical hour and a half seminar. It's a full-blown 4-hour class up in Hayden, Idaho. So if you, like I said, if you're in northern Idaho, western Montana, or eastern Washington, make sure that you get over to that. So Caleb, hey, this Elk Calling Academy shirt is my new lucky shirt. I've seen lots of bears and killed one. I know, Caleb, you guys are rocking it, and I appreciate you, rocking the Elk Calling Academy shirt and all those pictures. That's awesome. I'm greatly appreciative. So. Derek Lindberg, my mom gives me crap all the time when I come over during hunting season because my camp hardly ever matches. So Matching with gear and all that, there's so many great brands out there. So why not, spread the wealth and do a mixed bag? And like Mike said, find what works for you and stick with that. So, all right, Josh Nordwell, hello from Southwest Washington. All right, guys, let's jump into this. So, hello, everybody. My name is Michael Batiste, and this is Wapiti Wednesday Q&A. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We're glad you're here. The way Wapiti Wednesday typically works is we start with a subject or two, and we'll kind of talk. These are previous questions that we've received on past episodes, or, if I just kind of threw out the day of saying, hey, what do you guys want to talk about tonight? But it doesn't matter if you're joining us from Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook. Since this is live, you do have the ability to put your questions in, and we'll answer those to the best of our ability. Now, there is information that I do hold back because I do provide one-on-one lessons, and we also have the patron members over at elkcallingacademy.com that those guys are basically getting kind of private lessons. They get the really in-depth sounds, techniques, strategies in the field, all that kind of stuff. If you are interested in becoming a patron, it's simply go to elkcallingacademy.com. It's $15 a month. Like I said, instructional videos. There's also tutorials on tools that I use for e-scouting. There's in the field videos, coming up of how I actually, you can actually see me using these sounds out in the field and interacting. Gear, we have gear giveaways, all kinds of great goodies. Plus, every 2 weeks, we do a private Q&A session just for those patrons, to where nothing is sacred. We throw all information out. Also, no matter which platform you're at, if you're new or you're enjoying the content that we put out, make sure that you like, subscribe, or follow, and also turn on notifications so that way you're notified every time we go live or upload a new video. So, all right. Does stream keep cutting out on anyone else? Jack, I know the storm that's hitting the Boise area right now, it's been kind of affecting everything. So I told the kids to turn off all electronics, no video games, no hooking into Wi-Fi. So hopefully it won't interfere. Dave West. Oh, Dave, you said the name of my secret tool that in the tutorial that I just dropped for patron members. So Kelly Ford, not on my end. The last e-scouting video was hot. All right, so you guys that are patron members, so you guys are talking about the last tutorial that dropped last Friday. So yeah, that is one of my favorite tools to use. In fact, I've heard a couple of you guys, I've heard from a couple of you guys that that tool is a game changer for you, how you've actually gone into areas that you've hunted and found areas that you never even knew existed. So that's what's awesome about that tool. It's so easy to find benches and bedding areas and slope grades. And I mean, it's an awesome tool. So if you guys want to know more about what we're talking about, head over to elkcallingacademy.com. It is a e-scouting tutorial that I just uploaded last Friday the 10th. All right, let's get into the first question. Like I said, this comes from Elk Calling, the Instagram page. And basically, Rick's Wild Kingdom wants to know how to drag a satellite bull in if you're fortunate to get in on a herd. So great question, and certainly have been, in that situation. So there's a few things you need to kind of understand what's going on in that herd dynamics. I mean, satellite bulls basically are that satellite. They hang on the outer fringe of the herd, and basically what they're doing is they're an opportunity bull. That means if they have the opportunity to hook a cow or run in and breed a cow, without the herd bull catching them, they're going to do it. So because of that, your approach is going to be a little bit different. And this is one of those things that if you get on a herd and you're focusing on pulling those satellite bulls, okay, because you just want to fill your elk tag. You don't care if what the bull is. You just want to fill your tag. The thing to remember is, with those satellite bulls, okay, they're used to getting screamed at. They're used to getting ran off. They're used to getting bullied by the herd bull and the larger satellite bulls. And so, and some of those larger satellite bulls, they're they're larger in age classification and size, but yet they're not big enough to really challenge that herd bull for the herd. So you kind of got to play on that. So with knowing what they're doing and what they're looking for, now you tailor kind of your approach to what you're doing. So if you just want to focus and pull those satellite bulls, you can still, do the breeding sequence, but you're going to cut back on your screams. So you're going to kind of focus more on your raking and kind of calm down your bull sounds. And typically when I'm doing the breeding sequence, I'll start off with cow sounds, I'll work in the bull sounds, and then eventually once I really have a bull engaged, I'm going to start focusing heavily on um, the bull sounds and playing on that bull's aggression and emotion. But on this situation, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to focus more heavily on the cow sounds and use some of those smaller bull sounds, because now we're kind of painting that picture or appearance that there is a cow that's separated from the herd. She is a hot cow, but there is kind of one of the younger satellite bulls that got to her first. He's not really sure what he's doing. He's not really sure how to handle the situation. This cow's getting a little frustrated with him. And by doing that and focusing more on the cow sounds with just a little bit of supportive, of that immature bull that I don't know what I'm doing, it's going to encourage more of those satellite bulls to come over. I did this exact same setup in Montana. Um, Basically, got into an area, pretty good size herd. I think all in all, there was 9 or 10 bulls that were bugling, and the big herd bull he was locked on a cow. I knew that was not going to pull him from the cow, and we only had a few more days left to hunt, and so I definitely wanted to fill my Montana tag. The price that paid to get the tag and go over there and hunt. And we had hunted hard for 2 weeks. I think we had like 2 days left, 3 days left. Um, so I started focusing more on the cow sounds of this and kind of being an aggravated cow that was kind of being pestered. And it was awesome because I look up and here comes 5 satellite bulls in a single file line, just beelining right for my area. And, I kind of started taking a look at them and going, okay, which one's going to present me with a shot? And I had picked on one and I'm like, okay, that's the one I'm going to take. And then there was a bull that was coupled behind him that I noticed he was a small 5, but he had this stuff hanging off of his rack, and I realized that it was dry velvet. And he's only 30 yards at this point, and he keeps trotting on by. And as soon as I saw, you guys know me, you've heard me talk about Funky Horn, and as soon as he came by, he came and stopped at 21 yards, and I zipped him. And for those of you guys that have been to my house, you know exactly which bull I'm talking about, because that rack is hanging on my wall. It's funky, it's cool. But the neat thing about that is, 5 of those satellites broke off and came to me. They knew they weren't going to get a chance with that herd bull, because that herd bull was massive. I ended up shooting that bull, taking care of him, gutting him out, and then getting back. I had enough light left that I had to go hook up with my hunting partner, and I got over and I saw where my hunting partner had slipped down and kind of got into position. So I got behind him and started working that herd bull to try to get him a shot opportunity, which he got. And that herd bull, he was a stud. Unfortunately, it was low light in an old burn, and there was an old stub that was the perfect height that blocked the vitals, and he center punched that stab. So, but that that's an example there of basically just understanding the situation and adjusting your calling to the scenario. And it also, part of it plays into what do you want? What are your expectations going in? I mean, if you're just looking for any bull, then immediately as you get into that scenario and you realize you're in a herd, tailor and adjust your calling sequence and in that story, that picture that you're painting, and adjust that to focus and target on those satellite bulls. So notice I'm still doing the breeding sequence, but I'm just kind of adjusting the way I do the breeding sequence. I'm adjusting, what I'm focusing on and really what I'm targeting. Because that's really what you can do with these calling sequences. Once you recognize the situation, you recognize what's going on, you tailor and adjust the picture that you're painting to focus on what you're trying to accomplish. So, all right. God, tons of comments came rolling in. Let me see here. Let me back up a little bit. Not on my end. Dave West, deleted. Appreciate that, bud. Lucas, good evening. Jay Colley, how you doing? Guys, you don't have to apologize if you miss a week. It's not like I'm taking roll call. It's okay, Jay. I still call you a friend. So you're still not on the Christmas card list, but I'll still call you a friend. So, Ominous Rooster, good evening. Alton, I ordered some arrows from Kyle. Yeah, mine actually showed up 2 days ago. And actually tonight before this broadcast, I actually did my bear shaft and fletched arrow and basically got it going. And there's another thing that I'm kind of working on that I'm going to do a video on for you guys. But basically what I did was I eliminated my peep sight. So I pulled my peep sight off the bow. So I'll be doing a video to talk about that one. Anyone put up game cameras? Still a ton of snow. Best night of the week. Derek, appreciate it, bud. It could be like an AA meeting. It kind of is. So, I think you guys are having a conversation up there. No elk in Montana. You killed them all. Tristan, I've only been there once, and we took 2 bulls out. So, but we definitely got into a lot more than that. So, Derek, I was going to ask to have this topic on Patreon. Derek, we can actually talk about it tomorrow night. So, I can actually give examples of the type of breeding sequence that I would actually do. So that way you guys can hear that. Is there a video on calling sequence somewhere? Danny Koyman, it's the breeding sequence and all the sounds are over on the Patreon page at elkcallingacademy.com. So I need to be on the Xmas list. Do you want the Christmas list or do you want the Christmas card list, Jay? So Michael, nice wraps on the custom arrows. Heart, appreciate that. The whole arrows turned out absolutely beautiful. So, Derek, that'd be awesome. Okay, we'll do that tomorrow night. So, okay. So does that make sense, guys, about how to focus and target on that satellite bull and bring that in? So, I guess I better sign up. Danny, there's a lot of good information and tutorials over there, and there's a lot of good giveaways. In fact, I think we are 8 members away from the arrow giveaway. So as soon as we get 8 more members over there on the Patreon page, I'm going to be drawing one name, and that person is going to be getting a dozen arrows from Kyle at DCA Custom Arrow Works. If you don't know what DCA does, basically they take your bow, you send them your information with your bow, your draw length, your pounds, all that. And basically he calculates and comes up with an arrow that is maximized with dynamic spine and static spine that are pretty much matched. So basically you get better performance out of your arrow. And he'll put three basically together and then go to you and go, okay, do you want this weight, or this weight? I've only shot him a little bit, but I can already see tighter groups. Man, I'm excited to do some more testing with them. So do you have the wraps on the elk store? No, Jay, I don't, but you can actually get a hold of Kyle at DCA Custom directly and order those Elk Calling Academy wraps from him. You can get them in any color. You don't want the exact ones I have because they have my last name on them, but you can put your last name on them. So, one other quick announcement, guys. So, I also decided to see what you guys felt about this. So, currently, right now, I have a Matthews Traverse that I am going to shoot and hunt with this year. It's kind of a partnership that I worked with Archery Unlimited on. At the end of the year, we are going to do a raffle for that bow in October. So, not sure how many slots. We're thinking either 75 or 100 slots. So you have either a 1 in 75 or a 1 in 100 chance. Tickets are only $20 a piece. So is it worth it to you guys to spend $20 in a raffle for an opportunity to win a Matthews Traverse? Let me know what you think about that. So. It's awesome, guys. Just got 2 guys from my hunting party to join. So, Derek, okay, those are the 2 new guys that just joined. Well, since not having shoulder surgery until after hunting season, I better sign up now. Danny, that's good news. Herd Bowl Patreon membership is the best $15 I spend each month. Can't recommend it enough. You guys are awesome. Kelly Ford, Michael Batiste, we need to get together and go through my arrows and fine-tune my set and get a better idea. Kelly, what you can actually do is, so you guys can do this too. Go to DCA Custom Arrows, and on his page, you'll see 2 tabs. One will say Custom Build, one will say Check My Setup. Click Check My Setup, fill in the information, and then he will calculate your current arrow with your current setup and let you know how your current arrow stacks up to your bow setup. And also let you know, okay, you need to make some changes. So you can also do that. So Steve Shelley, shooting without a peep. Yes, that is something that I am doing a video on right now. So do you have a fletchingless paper tune? Yeah, that's actually what I did with this. First thing I did, so obviously I needed to change my knock point. So I changed my knock point, put the new D-loop on, shot that bear shaft through paper, got the bullet hole, and then basically then I went to the target. I shot the bear shaft, then I shot the fletch shaft to see where those 2 arrows were hitting, to see what I needed to do to adjust my rest. Both those arrows were side by side. In fact, tomorrow morning I'll post a picture of all that. So Dimitri White, better be left-handed. Unfortunately, it's not, Dimitri. I'm right-handed. So okay. What's your opinion on using a wolf call or cougar call to move elk off private property? Had 2 bulls about 100 yards off public. Ron, I haven't tried it. I have pulled bulls off of private property before, just with the breeding sequence. Because if they're sitting there on private property, they don't have a cow that's hot, but you're doing a breeding sequence and representing a hot cow that's only 150 yards away, you stand a really good chance of pulling that bull that 150 yards over to check you out. So, but the wolf call, the cougar call, especially the wolf call, the only thing is you can't really control or guarantee which direction they're going to go or where they're going to move to get away from that. So I would rather try to focus on elk vocalizations and bring them to where I want, not try to herd them somewhere. So, Mike, I'm in on the raffle. Derek, yep, yes, please. So, can't do it. I shoot left-handed. Lefties are the best. So, sold. I'm in. First come, first serve, right? Yeah, Derek, basically, whatever we set, the 75 or the 100, as soon as those 75 or 100 are sold, boom, it's closed and we draw a winner. How would the raffle work for us left-handers? Michael, over on the Patreon page, we do have a bow giveaway on the elkcallingacademy.com. We need, quite a few more members before we get to that. But once we, basically get to there, God, I want to say it was 200 members. Once we got to 200 members, and that bow on the elkcallingacademy.com is going to become an annual giveaway. So, so you could definitely have your chance on that. So I'm in. I'm late, but here. Maddie Lux, great news on your surgery. Glad all went well and hope your recovery is quickly. There are a lot of lefties tonight, Dimitri. Yeah, there's a lot. So um, I'm in on the raffle too. I'm not a bow hunter, but been wanting to try it. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Ominous. You might spend $20 and win the bow, and then you just got a Matthews Traverse for $20. Buying a new PSE Evoke tomorrow. Maybe try without a peep for a bit with a new EZV sight. Yeah, Steve. Aaron actually sent me one of those EZV sights months ago, last year. I haven't tried it yet. Um, I'm actually just using my regular sight, but like I said, I'll do a video that talks about this peepless. So Kelly Ford, sweet. When you have a chance, please text me his information. Yeah, I'll text you his contact info, Kelly, later. Or like I said, you could just go to DCA Custom Arrows, their website. So 400, but I like 200 better. Was it 400? Okay. I don't know. I got to look. I'm like Ricky Bobby, all left turns. I like it. I like it. So, okay. All right. Next question from Instagram. There was two of them that were kind of okay. So this one comes from Mr. Hart at 208 Custom Calls. So how about the clutch time when arrow is knocked and you are ready to draw? What steps to take to be calm enough to release with legal accuracy and successful harvest a bow or a bull with a bow? So really, this one kind of starts with how you train. How you do your practice sessions. So I see so many people that go to archery shops and first thing they do is they get that great big NFAA target face, that huge circle. Okay. And that's what they practice with all year long, is this huge circle. The only problem with that is now your mind is always to this large target area. And we basically have heard aim small, miss small. Well, if you're always training your brain on this large target area, that when that animal comes in, you're going to be looking at this large target area. So what I do is when I'm practicing here at the house. So at my house, I can get out to 35 yards. So basically 35 yards or under, I shoot those small orange dots. They're, about as big as a 50-cent piece. And I want to do that small target training because what I do is, and I go through the same process all the time. I have the same steps in my shot execution. So, because what you're doing is you're training muscle memory and muscle memory. So before I draw my bow, I'm looking at that big target, but then I take my eyesight and I basically focus it down on that small orange dot, that 50-cent size dot. Okay. So what you've done is basically now you've narrowed your focus. And then, putting the release on the D loop and everything, it's all a system. And so basically what you're doing is you're training muscle memory. And you do this enough on the target, what you'll find is when that animal comes in, you go from looking at this large animal to all of a sudden you start looking for a small dot on that animal. And I'll as soon as I know I'm going to shoot that bull, I quit looking at the rack, I quit looking at his body, and I start trying to find my small dot. Whether it's a tuft of hair that's, raised up, maybe he was playing in a wallow and I've got a chunk of mud, where I want to put that arrow. But I go from that large body size down to focusing on a small area. Now, granted, I've been doing this with my mind all summer long in my training sessions. So because of muscle memory, it just becomes that way and automatic. That now, obviously, if you're new to hunting, your adrenaline and all that is going to be through the roof anyways. So trying to control your emotions is one of those things. that's where, you can almost, there's things that you can do now. I mean, 3D shoots definitely help. If you have an archery shop that has the dart system to where you're actually shooting, the mushroom heads into the screen, I mean, those are all good training for the mind to go through that process to, focus on those smaller 12 rings, focus on, those smaller sight pictures before you release that arrow. And you'll be amazed that if you do that all in all your training sessions throughout the summer, that how much better you'll be on holding the pin on those smaller dots, and how your focus, and you'll find that your nerves are a little more in check. Your adrenaline's still going to be through the roof. I mean, my adrenaline just skyrockets so high that my hunting partners just, oh, they they give me a really bad time about my adrenaline level. So, all right, we've had a bunch of stuff rolling in on Instagram. What are your thoughts on wearing a solid color pants instead of camo when hunting? Boondock, I don't have a problem with it. And in fact, I have some coyote tan pants and some forest green pants. So even the grays, because really most of the time when I'm setting up, I'm in the shadows anyways. And depending on where you're at, if it's a setup to where you have the ability to kneel down, those solid colors aren't going to make a difference. So really the purpose of camouflage is just to break up our outline. I mean, Fred Bear hunted in solid color pants and that red and black flannel shirt, and that guy was a fairly decent and successful archery hunter. So yeah, I don't have a problem with solid colors. So Onyx hunt or no? Joshua Martinez, Onyx is a great tool to use. So in fact, I have been testing kind of Onyx and base map, kind of comparing, and I find myself just going to Onyx more and more. So I think what it is because Onyx was the first one that I used, and so I'm definitely a lot more comfortable with that. Now, I know a lot of you guys use base map, and you like base map over Onyx. I think it matters with which one you really learn on or which one you use first, because you get comfortable with those tools, you get comfortable with those settings and how to move around and do things, that then all of a sudden you go over to the other one and it's a little different, it's not the same, and you're like, yeah, I don't like this as much. So, but yes, Onyx is a great tool. Henry Mack, how you doing? So did you get more hats? I still have a few hats in. All I have left is the small size, which goes up to 7 1/4. But no, I haven't brought in any of the patch or anything else. I've been working on some other things. So 34, what would an immature bull sound like? What would that calling sequence sound like? So really on your calling sounds, you just basically, I'll give a big example here. So, an older class, more dominant bull, he's going to have more growl. Where kind of a smaller, more, an immature bull, he's kind of timid. He doesn't really have that full expansion into, the bugle. His growls aren't as deep. His bottom end's not as deep. So that's kind of just a big, or that's kind of an example of a mature versus an immature. Kyle, DCA Custom, how you doing, man? So, Brian, how is the land of Kentucky? Okay. I use it for real estate too. Definitely recommend. So Lena, yeah, you're talking about Onyx. So okay, you guys are blowing up the other one over here too. So let's see. So it's possible to shoot a bow without a peep. That would be great for people who wears glasses. Yes. So and like I said, let me finish this video because there are a few things that you guys need to do. So, and the video that I'm working on right now will cover all that. D-Rock, I always practice with a 4-step thought process. Yeah, it's all that mental game. So you're preparing your mental game to execute that shot. So I tried it a few times and can be done, but feel more comfortable with the peep. Yeah, Josh, the thing with the no peep, it's not for everybody. Um, but I'll tell you what, as soon as I pulled that peep out today, the first few shots, I felt liberated. I felt like I was not in this little box for my sight picture. I actually noticed my sight picture was a lot clearer. My pin was a lot clearer. So, I'm 49. So as we age, our eyes start getting, going. It gets a little hard to see the pin or see the target. But man, as soon as I removed that peep today, all that just cleared up. So, but yeah, we will do more on this on the video. So I kill an elk every shot I take when I practice. Shot routine for me. Yeah, and that's one thing you guys can do too. So if you only have a hard face target, get a paper target that has a silhouette of an elk. You know, work on shooting that. The 3D, the mini elk just came out this year. So, but practice shooting at what you're going to hunt. And those paper targets, they're fairly inexpensive, but the cool thing is you can go through that whole mental aspect of going from that full body down to that focus point, and really work on sticking those arrows in that focus point every time. So, and when you first do it, you can put that little orange dot in there. Okay, this is where I always want to aim. This is where I always want to hit. And then your body just gets used to going on that part. Coming up the leg, there's a little crease because the leg bone comes up and then goes forward. And then the shoulder blade, so there's that little triangle right in there that basically you'll take out along the heart and the aorta, and they go down quick. So, super peep is a peep with a cape. Ha ha ha, larger peep. Is the traverse worth selling the triax to get? Danny, I know over on Matthew's Brotherhead page that a lot of people are selling their triax because they want to step up to the traverse or the verdicts. I still have not had a chance to shoot the triax because none of the shops in town have one. So I don't know. I don't have firsthand experience shooting the triax yet. I'm still trying to get my hands on one. So no, it's not larger on the hood. Yeah, it's the super peep with the hood is just for keeping sun glare out of the peep. So when I'm practicing in off season, I also practice getting my heart rate and breath up than trying to shoot like trail shooting. Yeah, Dave, that's a great example. What I'll do sometimes in the backyard is I'll do sprints across my backyard to get my breathing up, to get that elevated heart rate up, and then, execute the shot. So, and the one thing I do on that is I don't run and then pick up the bow and shoot a group. So I run, pick up the bow, shoot one shot at that small dot, and I'll do it from either 20 yards or 25 or 26 or 30. I'll pick random yardages, and then I'll let my heart rate calm down, and then I'll sprint again, pick up the bow, knock an arrow, go through the whole process, just like I'm trying to hurry because I had to run up to get on a bull. He's coming in, it's quick, execute that shot, let the heart rate calm down. So it's almost hit training with shooting your bow and executing the shot mixed in. So, so there is different things, but yeah, doing those kind of things definitely help when you're on the mountainside. So, Tony Walker, how you doing? Andrew, welcome. Jay, look up specialty archery peeps. Got to have the adrenaline when it goes away. Time to hang it up. Derek, that is exactly right, and that's what I tell my hunting partners. So, because basically, I get the body tremors. But as soon as I draw back and anchor in, I'm rock solid. And then as soon as I see that arrow hit my target, the adrenaline rush and the shakes are horrible. And that's what those guys give me a really bad time about. They will start laughing on the mountainside. They'll be rolling on the ground laughing so hard. But I tell them the day the day that goes away is the day that I stop hunting. And here I am, 31st year of chasing elk, and it's still there, just as bad today as it was day one. The only difference is I'm able to control my nerves a lot better now. So best camo will still let you down if the setup isn't perfect and no movement. So Josh, the movement thing, you can get away with movement, and that's why I set up in shadows a lot. Because if you're in the shadows and your movements are slow, you can actually get away with movements. You'll be surprised on how much movement you can get away with. So, Hart, good advice, man. I have a huge adrenaline rush issue, still working on it. So it's not so much, the adrenaline rush that's a bad thing, because the adrenaline rush is good. It's the other thing too with going through this systematic process. What happens is as soon as you get into that point to where you are executing that shot, that you're going through your shot routine and narrowing down, you'll be amazed at how your muscle memory takes over and you don't even notice that adrenaline rush anymore. And I think that's why that once I get into the shot execution and draw back and anchor, that everything becomes solid, is because it automatically just goes into muscle memory. I'm not thinking about things, I'm just reacting. So Robert Moore, when you guide, what are the top 3 things besides attitude that make a great client? So Robert, I don't guide, but I have a lot of friends that do. And, one of the things they talk about is recognizing the level of fitness that your client is in and not trying to take them too far outside of that fitness level. Because if they're just miserable, they're not going to be enjoying the hunt. And that's the other thing. The friends of mine that are guides, they are the biggest smart alecks on the planet, and they are that way with their clients. They're joking, they're having fun. They're basically making it feel like that it's more like a couple of friends out on a hunt instead of that guide client relationship. So basically, I would say the top 3 things are recognizing the fitness level of your client, making it fun for the client, but also having the knowledge of the area and the game that you're hunting and get them on game. So I've heard face is what they spot first. Any true to that? I don't know. I've always just, for years I would just grow in the beard. Now I just leave it permanently. I don't use face masks. I don't use face paint. In fact, that bull right there came in last year to 18 yards and was staring right at me. I didn't even have my bow drawn. I ended up basically just doing a nice, slow, controlled draw, anchoring, settled the pin, actually stood there for a little bit because I was waiting for my hunting partner to shoot. Then he turned his head and I saw the funky horn on the one side, and that was it. Narrowed down to the small spot and executed the shot. So if you're out in bright sunlight, yes, because your face will shine. So, but in the shadows, I've never had a problem. And in fact, most of the group that I hunt with, none of us use face masks or face paint, and we don't have a problem with it. So, let's see. Wind more important than camo? Wind is the most important thing. Matthew, yep, eyes can be fooled. Noses never, exactly. Slow claps. It all happens very fast. Prep is the key. Yeah, sometimes, it happens really fast. And other times it's just this slow, drawn out process that seems to take forever. So, Jeremy, finally, after watching all the Q&A episodes, I caught my first live. Love the info and always enjoy learning. Jeremy, welcome. I'm glad you were able to join us live. So, Hart, have you used an open reed cow call to bugle or chuckle? I've seen some video, but doesn't sound accurate to me. No, I haven't, because you're exactly right. The sound and the tone that an open reed cow call produces is not designed to produce a bugle on. I'm sure if you had to do it in a pinch, you could, but the control aspect and basically the tonal quality and really trying to get in the important pieces, it just wouldn't sound quite right with that open reed cow call. So just realized it's Wednesday. Chad, better late than never. Gary Miller, ever tried the EZV sight? I do have the EZV sight here with different inserts. I do have the intent. So I have an archery shoot I'm doing in 2 weeks. Actually a week and a half now. So after that, I am going to put the EZV on and play with it and do a video on it. So up to this point, Gary, I haven't. I do have it here, but here within the next 2-3 weeks, I will play with that. So come to Utah, shoot my triax in July. I have a half-acre backyard here at my house. So yeah, Danny, I'll be over there in July. It's just going to be hectic. We'll see how much time have with the World Calling Championships. So, have you seen the solo targets? They're 2D photo printed, so they have depth, I think, full size. Yes, I have. And actually, the solo targets, that is an awesome target. That would be a great one to get if you want. So I know it's more money than that paper one. So those of you that are on a budget that are kind of tight, the paper ones will work great. For all you others, definitely check out solo targets. So Kelly, can't wait for that. Tex Grant, how you doing? I've seen guys puke. They get so worked up. I think it's awesome. Yeah, everybody with adrenaline and nerves, it affects everybody a little bit differently. So Scott, putting on a 3D shoot this weekend at Cascadian Bowman, 50 targets, Western Oregon. So there you go. Any of you guys that are tuning in at Western Oregon, there's a 3D shoot this weekend that Cascadian Bowman's checking out. Get out there and practice. Have fun. So Josh, I told that to my son turkey hunting a few years ago. He was shaking like a leaf. Oh, when it happens to kids, yes. I love watching those videos of the first timers. I think those are absolutely awesome. So I know the last day of the hunt is the day I start looking forward to day one of next year. Absolutely. Okay, nothing on Instagram. My grandpa hunted till he died, and he got more excited about shooting a fawn or a doe than my cousins did shooting decent bucks. It was like his first deer. That is awesome. That's how my grandfather was too. So Steve Shelley from Facebook, I think muscle memory is more important than shooting for accuracy. But really, so what you'll find is if you go through this routine and you get that muscle memory down, you will also notice that your accuracy will increase because you are focusing on such a smaller aiming point that your mind and your whole execution of everything really starts narrowing in and getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And because of that smaller and smaller and smaller, it is going to, increase that accuracy. So, a lot of times if I'm not doing the hit training and the shooting added into the hit training and I'm just, working on form, I have 3 or 4 of those small dots on my target. I have 4 of them. I don't shoot 2 arrows at the same one. I want to execute on every single one to get into that black diamond that's in the middle of each of those. And so, I call it focus training at 30 yards or focus training at 35 yards. It's almost, like was mentioned, I kill a bull on every shot. And that's kind of the mindset that I go through. I've picked that spot on the side of the elk. This is where I want that arrow to go. And then basically then I'll go up and evaluate, okay, how close to that dot was I? Where was I at in it? My broadhead is, this size, what would I have hit? What would I have cut? What would have happened on that shot? So, all right. Jeremy from Instagram, also love my GC call. If hunting a creek bottom in the morning with lush green all around and thermals aren't a factor, do you stay low or work your way up? Depending on what kind of sign I see in the bottom there, if there's some good fresh sign that I know animals are close to that, I'll spend a little bit of time in there and maybe try a blind sequence to see if I can pull something in there. But I also know too that I want to get elevation before those thermals change. So it's kind of one of those things where you do the quick calculating. How, what time in the morning is it? How long until the thermals, and how much elevation do I have to climb to get to that spot when those thermals change? And that was one of the questions that we did get, was talking about thermals, and we will be kind of talking more in depth about those on a future episode. So, but Jeremy, yeah, I may spend a little bit of time in there. It just depends what I'm seeing in that creek bottom. If I'm not seeing much sign, or if I'm not seeing fresh sign, if I'm not smelling elk, I'm probably not going to spend time in there. I'm going to move on and find a place that I am getting into fresh sign, to kind of where I can smell them and I know they're close by. So, Scott, did someone say fitness? LOL. Any advice for hunting solo and calling solo? Is it best to use a decoy? So, Ryan, yes, for solo, using decoys are a great additive. And that is one of the questions that I got too about, sounds and setups and decoys. So, we'll go into that, more depth either next week or the week after. So, watch lots of hunting videos. They will walk right up to you if you are not moving. Do I use decoys? Sometimes, not very often. So, Henry Mack, how far do you feel comfortable taking a shot? So again, this is personal preference. So, but for me, my first shot on a bull, I won't take past 40 yards. I've just seen too many things happen on longer shots. Now, if I already have an arrow in a bull and I have to do a follow-up shot, I don't have a problem stretching it out to, 60 yards. But I'm still going to do all I can to get as close as possible. So, because for me, it's high percentage shots is what I want. So, my average shot on all the bulls that I've harvested is 22 yards. So that's why I hunt with a single pin. I like the sight picture, and when I'm hunting, I have that pin set at 30 yards, and I just use Kentucky windage, hold a little high or hold a little low, depending on where they're at. But yeah, 22 yards. So the longer shots, I mean, I've seen a lot of posts about people taking 70, 80, 90 yard shots on elk. Me personally, I never would. I've seen what can happen with bad hits. I've seen what can happen with the loss of momentum and kinetic energy and penetration. And, that animal takes just one step at those longer distances, and you're in for a nightmare for the next couple of days. So, all right. Do you recommend highest poundage to be set on a bow? Yes, bows are designed to have peak performance at the peak of their poundage range. So if you're shooting a 70-pound bow, have that thing set up there at 70. And a lot of those, once you max them out, they'll actually go above their peak weight by a pound or two. So I know a lot of guys in years past would take a 70-pound bow, crank it down to 65, and they still did fine. Now bow manufacturers are starting to make 65-pound, and I think that's a great poundage to shoot, especially for elk. You have plenty of momentum, you have plenty of kinetic energy, but the thing is too, it's still light enough that you can draw that smoothly and slowly in odd situations if you need to. So, Danny, when you come for calling contest, I have a huge guest room. Just saying, I appreciate that. I'm actually going to be staying with a high school buddy of mine that lives over there. So each year I go and stay with him, and it's a chance to hang out with him and his family. So, Matthew, best way to get rid of target panic. So, okay. I watched a video the other day of kind of the Olympic archers, and they were talking about that, about target panic. And everybody will suffer from target panic at one point or another. And what these guys were talking about, so many people will go to a blank bail, so no target, and they'll just work on that form. And that's fine. That's going to work on form, but you don't really have anything to aim at. So these guys will basically do blank bailing, but they will put a target up. And they're not necessarily trying to hold in the center. They will start with shooting for the blue or the red, the outer rings. Maybe they're going to hit, maybe they're going to shoot for, the number 8 in the red ring, and they're going to try to hit that 8. But they're not aiming at the center. They're just aiming for these outer rings, but they're still basically blank bailing, but they're just holding out on these outer rings, and they slowly work their way in to where now all of a sudden they're focusing on the center. The other thing, Matthew, that EZV site that has come up a couple of times tonight, that one is actually designed to eliminate target panic because you don't have a pin. It actually has a V. And what's kind of interesting, the concept behind this is that V also works as a rangefinder. So you basically, use that V to settle on the vitals, and depending on where the vitals fall within that V, that gives you your range. So, but you might double check on that. There's a lot of good articles and videos about combating target panic. I think, who was it who did a video? They were blank bailing, but what they did is they cut out a picture of a deer. So just a black and white, had the silhouette of the deer, and they taped that to the front of the sight so that the pin was sitting on the vital of that. So when they drew back, and they were close to the big bale, but they drew back and anchored in, now all of a sudden they're seeing this pin just holding right on that spot of the animal, and then they would execute the shot. And they would do that several times. Then they would take that picture off, and then basically they had, a paper target with the silhouette of the animal, and then they would go to work on that pin until they kind of felt the target panic, and then they would tape that picture back on. So you might try that a little bit. So, all right. I have switched to 65 pounds because I bow hunt in such cold temps. Yes, I've heard back tension release will help as well. Back tension, yes, can help. And I know some people hunt with a back tension or, the resistant type release just because of their target panic. But why not try to do other things to work through? So, guess what, guys? We are there. Holy cow, this flew by tonight. The countdown timer has started. We've got a few more. Let's see. Like the shirt, dude. It's awesome. You support multiple Idaho companies. Blank Bell works. Josh, but is it mental or muscle? Basically, the target panic is actually, it's a mental game. And go check out Shot IQ. So Shot IQ is a great shot execution that I definitely, recommend. Joel Turner does a great job. So, all right, guys, we're less than a minute, so we're going to shut this down. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank you for all the questions. It was a lot of fun. As always, keep calling, keep practicing. Most importantly, though, have fun. And we will see you guys next week on the next episode of Wapiti Wednesday Q&A. Have a great week, everybody.